And I call on Deputy Pearse Doherty, please.
Policy tíhiacht an rialtas ag chipu, agus margheallar na policy shot na mílte da gini na féidir lá chahianart na keys recente. Yenan da kenyu ala jeru harlish an Coscar G halwu rodi ní smasa haniste, agus kaihir Cosk and Koshna hortish rashishta loikra. Tanisha, we've seen the most serious housing crisis in the history of the state. But you would never think that this is the case going from the performance of the government. And let's look at the new low points that you have achieved in the last few days alone. You failed to spend €1 billion in funding for housing, which means that thousands of desperately needed homes were not built. You have missed your affordable housing targets by a country mile, by nearly 60%. And yesterday we hear from the housing charity Threshold stating that they have been contacted by a record number of people in housing distress. And this is just 1 week on your watch of your government, Taoiseach. Is it any wonder that so many working people and families can't put affordable roof over their heads? And what do we get from government? Action to tackle extortionate rents? No. Measures to relieve soaring mortgage interest rates? No. Real action to respond to record homelessness? Not a chance from this government. What we get is a government that is digging in on their decision to lift the eviction ban, a cruel, cruel decision that are going to see so many people lose their homes in the weeks and coming months. And you've done this with no plan in place to protect renters, and nearly 3 weeks on, Taoiseach, 3 weeks on, you still can't answer the simple question, where are people meant to go? So the government are circling the wagons, but ordinary people out there are suffering on the ground. Taoiseach, a couple in their 50s with 2 kids are to be evicted from their home of 11 years in June. They've been desperately trying to find a new place with no luck, and now they face the prospect of homelessness. Their eldest son is due to sit the junior cert soon. The mother isn't sleeping with all of the stress, and she's actually been hospitalised with chest pains, and the stress is also affecting their children. That's what's really happening on the ground because of your decision. And what about the families in your own constituency, in your own county of Cork, Taoiseach? Maybe if you're not aware of what's happening, let me just inform you. A family of 4. They've received their eviction notice. The council said no to buying the property. They now say it's overcrowded, despite the fact that they were paying half payments for this family for the last 4 years. Or what about another individual in your own county of Cork, Taoiseach? A lady who was evicted on Friday. She was gone on Friday. She's now in emergency accommodation. She got a call after all her bags were packed and after she had moved out from the council saying they would buy the house. But it's too late. She was evicted. She's in emergency accommodation. The landlord was onto the council as far back as August of last year to sell the house to the council, and he's pulled out now because it's taken too long. She's been evicted. She's in emergency accommodation in your own county of Cork. That's what's happening on the ground because there's no plan in place to deal with individuals like this. And where are they meant to go? Or maybe are you satisfied that that lady is in emergency accommodation, or the family of 4 are so stressed that they're being hospitalised that they don't know where they're to go in June? In 2017, you described the housing and homelessness crisis as a national scandal, and you were right then, but things have even gotten worse. Taoiseach, your lifting of the eviction ban without any plan to protect renters is a national scandal today. So how else could you describe a government decision that puts so many working families at risk of eviction and nowhere to go? So I'm asking you, for the sake of those families, for the sake of the people who are stressed to the hilt, for the sake of people who are in emergency accommodation today, to make sure that nobody else ends up in that situation, to reinstate the eviction ban, to buy yourself time, to get the plans in place, to make sure that people do have a place to go. Will you do that?
Spáir ní an tíim leis an tachta agus is saléir nach bhfuil éon phlean cuimseach a go tain ó thaobh an ggéircéim tíochta atá going sa tír seo. Ní sé saléir in éair agus má éistin tú leis an méid atá ráite ag do pháirtí I mthórlamsa na polisithe atá goibh agus atá lúite goibh. Ní léon áras orm ach go méid an scéal a bhad níos measa dá gurmid reintas na policy atá go tain I bhaim. First of all, Deputy, I think your inability to acknowledge any progress in relation to housing policy, I think, undermines the credibility of your presentation. I mean, the bottom line is, over the last year alone, 30,000 new homes were completed in 2022. That's 45% of an increase over 2021. Now, can you bring yourself to say that is very significant progress? It's the highest annual total since CSO data series began in 2011. We saw in 2022 the highest level of delivery of new build social housing since 1975. Over 10,000 social homes delivered, new builds, acquisitions and leasing last year. Can you acknowledge that? And we're looking at a consistent trend of over 10,000 social houses being delivered year on year. And in respect of new situation in terms of affordable housing as well, and cost rental, and also in terms of first-time buyers. Now, you seem to have a blind spot with first-time buyers. You're opposed to measures that are helping first-time buyers, young people trying to get on the housing ladder to buy their first home. You oppose the Help to Buy scheme, which has helped over 38,000 first-time buyers, and you're against it, and you want to abolish it. And likewise with the First Home scheme, which has proved very attractive to young people in terms of the equity dimension in respect of that. And last year, we're up to 16,000 new first-time buyers. So real inroads have been made in these policy areas in terms of social housing, in terms of first-time buyers, in terms of Help to Buy and the First Home scheme, and in terms of the cost rental initiative. We had no cost rental 2 years ago. We now have significant numbers of cost rental built, and much more to come into the future. And in respect of the homeless situation, and in respect of measures, we have provided measures in terms of the tenant in situ scheme. Now, I can't deal with every individual case that you may raise, and that's very easy for you to take one case at a time and so forth. But the policy is there, and councils have been told and instructed to buy houses where a person is under threat of eviction. And a specific unit has been established in the department to ensure and to coordinate and to direct councils to follow through. And the evidence is there in terms of substantial numbers now of tenant in situ situations being progressed by councils the length and breadth of the country. And when you consider that the population has increased very significantly in this country, we do need a higher level of house completion over the next number of years. Of that, there is no doubt. But your policies, both on the rental side and indeed in terms of your serial objections to a whole range of developments, up to 11,000 houses objected to by Sinn Féin, your policies actually would reduce the housing stock available for homeless, would reduce the housing stock available in terms of renting out a stronger number of houses to rent out within the market. It can be summed up by banning, freezing, all of that, on the totally demand side on the rental. And again, no real concrete measures over and above what the government is doing in terms of boosting supply. I don't see it from Sinn Féin.
Taoiseach, open your eyes. Listen to what is happening out there. Listen to your own constituents. Listen to what people are saying right across society. The housing crisis wasn't just a national scandal in 2017 when you called it out. It is a national scandal now. Things have gotten worse. House prices have risen beyond all reach of people. Rents have exploded. And homelessness is at an all-time high. And in the middle of that, the wisdom of you and your party and your government is to end the eviction ban. And the consequences of that, whether you want to ignore them or not, are people in your constituency, my constituency, and every single constituency across the state, people stressed out, not knowing where they are going. Things have definitely gotten worse since the eviction ban was lifted. Our age group is being completely forgotten about. I never imagined I would be in this position at 50 years of age. They're the words of a woman in Wicklow, a mother who's at her wit's end because her family are about to be evicted, a mother who can't sleep because of the stress of it. That is what's happening. That's what's happening under your watch. And what's your new harebrained idea? It's to do what you've done in the past. It's to do what you did when you wrecked the economy the last time you were in government. Give multi-million euro subsidies to developers instead of actually building the social, affordable and cost rental houses that are needed, installing the eviction ban to give yourself the breathing space to make sure people have somewhere to go. That's what you should do.
Deputy, you wanted to lift the eviction ban on Christmas week. That was your proposal. Nothing of substance in what you were saying. It's all empty sloganeering and sound bites designed to win votes. That's all you're interested in. You are not interested in solutions. How in the name of God, you've described the crisis there. How in the name of God can your party object to 11,000 houses? How can you do that?
We didn't.
How can you do it with a straight face?
You've been fact-checked so many times in this here.
And the reason you object on a serial basis, up and down the length and breadth of the country, is because you want to win votes at local level.
Mothers and children without anywhere to go.
Whatever moves, wherever there's a group that supports something, you're there. But you're not going to do anything, it seems to me, concrete or in substance or constructive to solve the problem. I haven't heard a single idea. I haven't heard a single idea from you this morning. Not one single idea have I heard from you this morning in terms of any additional resolution. All I've heard from you is abolish the Help to Buy, abolish First Home, which is helping first-time buyers. What have you against first-time buyers? What have you against first-time buyers? What your position on the rental market?
No defence
and the eviction ban. We have a defence.
Mothers and children in your own county.
You would make it far worse.
Emergency accommodation.
That is the point. You would create a further crisis, as all of your policies, it seems to me, in respect of the demand side of the rental market, would reduce rental supply, would reduce the availability of houses.
Answer the question.
All this shouting and interrupting is not helping anyone. Not helping anyone. Please. Now, a little bit, please. Please, Deputy, please. We're going to hear